Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike Engine Graves.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is my co-host, aka my heterosexual life partner, Mr. Jin Graves. How's it going today, buddy?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear because it's been about a month.
It's been about a month.
It's been about a month to the day since, unfortunately, we lost the legendary Akira Toriyama. Now, I wanted to wait to talk about this. Talk about this tragic event that happened, I feel like, throughout the anime and manga fandom. But I kind of wanted to, talk about, like the reaction, what we thought about it, exactly like the lasting impact of probably now I say this, I had problems with, I would say more with the Dragon Ball fandom, I would say, than Akira Toriyama himself and his art style and his creating and whatnot. It was more the fandom that I have a problem with. But like the lasting impact that Akira Toriyama had or has had on the world itself,
Right.
I've said it myself. I've had problems with, I guess, Dragon Ball fans. Even though I do like Dragon Ball, I'm not going to nitpick or whatever at this moment.
Love me some Dragon Ball. Woo-woo.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see like how the world has reacted, and they're still reacting, I would say.
That's true. I'd agree with that. I feel like there's still people that are very sorrowful about things and that they still kind of don't know how to take it in.
Yeah, no, I agree because like I feel like this is probably the most impactful death of a manga creator we've had, like, ever.
I can
Like,
agree to that.
there were, I mean, I'm not excusing, I've said, like, Mirai had a really big, came out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere,
Right.
stuff like that. But, like, seeing, like, entire countries, like, even, like, the leaders of said country, like, acknowledge that this happened
Yep.
is crazy to think about. And sadly he passed away on March 1st of 2024 of a brain aneurysm, is what everybody says that happened. And
Right. And we didn't know for like a week.
We didn't know for a week, which I feel like that was best to let his family. I don't know if he had family or not, or if he had a wife and child or children or whatever, or his
He had a wife. I don't know if he had kids. I know he had a wife.
or his parents or like his relatives to grieve.
Yeah.
It says a lot. I feel like that it was kept such a secret.
Yeah.
For like,
Well, and I mean, we knew that, like, after that happened, it was part of his wishes, to basically like do that, because I feel like if it was really any of those other things, it'd be like a celebrity wedding where like everybody's trying to get into it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I agree.
And so, whenever he passed, I felt like the hush hush was a correct route to go. Because they were able to kind of have their time and
To mourn and grieve.
Yeah, and to basically bury him or whatever they did and have that time. And there wasn't like a big boom of all these people, like, with some stuff like, oh my god, we have to get to Japan, or we got to go to his house, or we got to do this, like because the fans didn't know. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, nobody knew. No, nobody knew. I've heard also reports that he might have had a brain tumor as well.
Yeah.
I heard that he hit his head. He fell and hit his head, and because of him hitting his head, caused the brain aneurysm.
Right.
And he felt tired. Basically, same thing like Bob Saget had. Like Bob Saget had the same thing from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But I don't want to really speculate on that or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's what I've heard. That's what I heard listening to like another podcast as well,
Yeah.
because they actually talked about uh, like the passing of Akira Toriyama, and they said they don't. They feel like if anybody is going to have the same impact as Toriyama, like when they pass, they even said that it might be Hayao Miyazaki in a sense.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, and I'm not even sure on part of that, because at some point, we have these guys that are getting old, that are doing these things, and they are pushing themselves to the limit, and it's like at some point it's kind of like, when do you see it coming and when do you not? It's kind of like, not everybody's like a Betty White. We had Betty
yeah,
White, I feel like, way longer than we should have, and that was great that we were able to have her as long as we did.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
But not everybody is as lucky as that, for us to be able to keep them around and do all that other stuff as long as we would like, or to have them.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
knowing when they get to a certain age, and things like that, we have to know that stuff is more prone to happen.
I mean, yeah, because like we think about it, like we have these actors, actresses, writers, directors, voice actors,
Right.
manga artists, and we think that they're like I don't know if the correct term is like omnipresent, but
I
like,
can see that. Yeah.
like we don't think of them as people sometimes, and we think, oh, they're going to be around forever, you
Right.
know?
Well, and
And
because part of their works, we can go back to them over and over and over and over again,
yeah,
and think like, hey, they don't actually age, because their films, their works aren't aging with them.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, no, that's you're absolutely right in that scenario. I would say,
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it did have a big impact on that. Now, like I said, I don't know what that is, but we do still have those works that he did.
and
So
I would have to say to an extent, like, so like Toriyama like revolutionized, I would say, manga in a sense. Like he revolutionized like gag comedy manga with Doctor Slump,
right,
and you could say he revolutionized it like shonen manga with Dragon Ball.
yeah, battle
Now I know
manga,
I know over here Dragon Ball Z are technically separate, but they were one series over in Japan.
yeah,
And he did revolutionize that. And one thing I have to say, and he even like did character designs for Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, two huge games. Dragon Quest is a huge franchise. Like
right,
he would do all the covers for the games. He would, design all the characters and stuff like that, all the monsters. He had a big hand in that.
right,
Like it wasn't just manga. Like I know everybody remembers him for Dragon Ball, but I feel like he was so much more in a sense to like create like other creators as well, and like, but a lot of people I feel like just looked at him for Dragon Ball,
right.
and it's it's interesting to see like how like people still do look at him for Dragon Ball, but like how people are finding his other works, like i.e. Sandland. Like
Right.
Sandland has blown up this year,
Right.
even before Toriyama's death. Like people are finding it again. We're getting a video game that looks amazing. We're getting
Right.
a TV show
Right.
based on Sandland. And like even like Toriyama himself like wrote a new story for the Sandland video game. So after like the original story for like the manga is done, like that you play through, apparently you're gonna get to play through a whole nother story in the Sandland world that Toriyama created.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
gonna
pretty
be
cool.
freaking cool, I feel like, because Sandland is amazing. Like I still I like I think it's probably one of his greatest works, I feel like, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion. You know, somebody who is anti Dragon Ball, you know.
I really like
I'm
Stanley
not
too.
anti. Okay, let me
I
put it like
kind
this.
of, I kind of wonder if we'll have another almost like manga theater where we'll have some of the other works that he had on the side.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm very curious. Like, was all the one shots all published already? Because I know he stopped drawing.
Right.
You know, and like people are all worried. Oh man, you know, oh Dragon Ball Super is not finished. You know, but he didn't draw that. He just wrote it. You know, hopefully there's an
Right.
outline or
Well,
something to.
and he didn't even start writing it. You know, somebody
Yeah,
else did. He had handed it off, and
I think he
then,
supervised it.
well, not at that point, because he handed it off thinking like somebody would be able to like control his, handle his baby and like move
Yeah,
forward, and then like they started it and it just kind of started going to shit. So then he stepped in and said, let me give you some direction.
yeah. Let me guide you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
So
know, we got all those Dragon Ball movies the last couple of years that he wrote.
yeah,
You know, and what was it? He also did something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. There were the new Dragon Ball anime that's coming out. He had a big hand in that.
yeah,
The one where they're all children, which looked kind of fun. I feel like it's gonna be fun.
it's gonna be Dragon Ball all over again.
Which originally, apparently, that was gonna be just a web exclusive show.
Oh yeah,
But apparently, because of everything that's happened and the popularity surrounding it, they're gonna put it out on television. You know,
yeah,
but to,
that's awesome.
but to see like the tribute like just pouring out, you know, like I said, you know, the other countries acknowledging the passing. You know, my timeline was nothing but tributes to Toriyama for quite a while.
That's true.
Like it was just Toriyama, 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 Toriyama. Like seeing him.
So
Go ahead.
so I wanna ask you this
Uh huh.
question on that,
Uh huh.
because being one of the people that has started trying to really like buckle down on working on our Instagram and whatnot,
Yeah.
do you think that some of those people that did any of that were not so much doing it for Toriyama, like to honor him, but were doing it out of um, selfish reasons, like just hopping on the bandwagon?
Possibly, but I mean,
Because there were a lot that I was trying to find a good tribute one for him.
uh
And
huh.
as I kept looking, people just had like, they'd have a piece of art that was kind of in his style and everything.
Uh huh.
And then they would have their name just blown across it. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't see that at all.
I had a bunch of different ones that were like that that kept popping up. And I was like, okay, well, I want to use somebody's art to, throw this out
Uh
there
huh.
and kind of like give them a little bit of like, like our outlet, letting them have a little bit of our outlet, and then throwing that out as a tribute to him as well. A little after it happened for our Instagram page,
Yeah.
and it took me forever to find a good one because so many people in that art ended up throwing or branding their name onto it too. And I'm not saying I don't think they should have done it, but
Yeah.
some of the other ones I saw, they put like their little symbol in the corner, and they really didn't take
Mm.
anything away from the art. But there were other people that I saw where it really like kind of took away from the art because it was like, okay, well, you're honoring him, but at the same time, you really want people to know and hop on and like enjoy your stuff.
I mean, like, I could see, like, maybe people taking advantage of it, if they're making like videos on YouTube or something.
Right.
And that's in that sense, hopping on that bandwagon, and getting that early like algorithm push.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that, but like with this, I really don't know. It is very, very hard to say
Yeah.
to an extent because like even though like I am not a huge fan, I appreciate the work for what it is. And there are stories that I really, really, really do like of Akira Toriyama's. You
Right.
know, I was even affected by it, and I was like, God, like I woke up, and it was like the world almost shut down. I feel like, like nobody really cared about really promoting their stuff or
Yeah.
anything like that.
All right, guys. Sorry, technical difficulty. We got through the first part of this recording and then something happened. But we're back now. So we're
We're back.
glad to still be able to have this podcast to uh, contribute. No, that seems like the wrong one.
Contribute?
To memorialize Akira Toriyama.
I guess, yeah. I honestly don't remember what we were talking about.
I know because we had technical difficulties.
We had technical difficulties.
That set us off for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we should probably go into like all the different people that we know like he like touched with his work, not per se like us that watched it
Uh-huh.
and are just schmoes. I'm just gonna say that schmoes because we didn't go into the manga or anime industry at all.
Uh-huh.
But people that like watched Dragon Ball and
Mm-hmm.
other works that he had, and then actually grew up and became manga artist or other things like that.
Well, there were a lot of people who, like, one thing I saw somebody do was they collected all the photos of like different manga artists
Yeah,
who drew like Dragon Ball characters in their particular art style,
yeah,
which was really amazing to see the outpour of like just them, like
yeah,
mourning their friend. What was it? Is it Kishimoto, the guy who did Naruto?
yeah,
Yeah, well, seeing him like he like was really good friends with Akira Toriyama apparently, and so was Oda.
yeah.
Uh, and uh, seeing them, like mourn their friend was very, very sad to see.
Right.
And like,
Well, and so for me, one of the saddest things I think that I've seen is how everybody draws like Goku or somebody
mhm,
that is, whatever. And like those characters are all wishing like Akira Toriyama goodbye.
yeah,
And I understand that because technically we still have those works. But I
hmm
also feel like that's a little incorrect because I feel like even though like we still have those works, that those characters have already kind of retired with him.
Oh, you mean like works that have been finished?
Yes,
Like say like
I've seen people
like
have like
Naruto.
I've seen people have like Gohan or something like that, and it'll be or Goku, like
Uh,
young Goku, and it'll be him like wishing Akira Toriyama like goodbye, and I'm like, I don't know if that's exactly right. You know,
yeah.
I kind of feel like that character has moved on with him
Did you see
because
the
nobody's
last
going to be able to uphold these characters the same way he did.
did you see the last thing that he actually like kind of drew and doodled out? Which I think it was
I'm
for the
not
manga.
sure.
I think it was for Dragon Ball Super. It was Piccolo like walking away and like waving goodbye to Goku.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Which that was
yeah,
like, oh, like if they ended it like that, like with Goku and Piccolo,
yeah,
maybe just having like a final conversation and like just
yeah,
walking away from each other. Cause like I feel like Piccolo was like his first like big like adversary,
yeah,
with King
yeah,
Piccolo and stuff.
yeah. Enemy turned friend.
Yeah, if enemy turned actually like a really good friend,
Yeah,
you know. Everybody says oh Vegeta, but like Piccolo, I feel like is an even bigger friend to
yeah, because
Goku.
Piccolo was around in Dragon Ball, so
Yeah.
you
Um
know.
yeah, seeing just the outpour of support and people mourning and like even like one that I thought it was really sad, but also kind of hilarious in a way. Like the actor who played Goku in Dragon Ball Evolution
Oh no.
publicly apologized to Akira Toriyama's family for how much they fucked up making that movie.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow. Like a movie like I guess people do still talk about, but like kind of got erased from the Dragon Ball like mythos.
Oh no, most definitely.
Like nobody talks about that movie. Well, if they do, they talk about it in a bad light.
Most
You
definitely.
know,
I mean, I really think a lot of people don't acknowledge that,
no, they
but
don't.
I mean, there's a lot of them that do that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
how did
not loyal to the fan source, I guess.
how did you feel like and when you found out?
Um, Fine. I mean, I was a little bit upset about it, but
Hmm.
I can't say like I was super super torn up about it because like sure that stuff was a pivotal like thing in my life or whatever, but
Yeah,
um I didn't know him in general like as a friend or anything,
like
you know what I'm saying?
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, for me, I don't think I took it as hard as a lot of other people. Like my brother, like spent almost like a whole week, like, dude, I'm crying and da da da, like all this other stuff. I'm like, I understand some people that were
yeah.
in that.
It hits
Now,
people differently.
will I say like one of our granddaddies of manga? Did they go away? Yeah, but I also feel like too, like it's kind of our duty to uphold like that tradition and things and move forward with like what he kind of left with
Yeah,
us or slash like taught us. I mean, because think about how many of us actually like from a young age grew up with Dragon Ball Z and all this other stuff.
yeah, and very much like when you look at it now, like Dragon Ball is a series that's what like over 30 years old now,
Yeah,
and it's definitely one of those series like and his works that will need to I don't want to say like keep pushing it forward,
yeah.
like
Well,
as well as
and I think we just have to like keep pushing the message.
yeah,
Um, like how it was like standing up for justice and doing what's right and things like that. I think that's something that still has to be like pushed forward, and I think that now with his passing and everything, that people that thought, oh well, I could go out and I could be Goku and beat people up and do this or whatever. Like, it's kind of the other thing of us that are older that grew up with it too and understand more so of what the reading of that stuff is now interpreted when you get older to like
I
have
mean,
people
like Goku
understand like
never
what that is.
really, never. I feel like Goku never really truly wanted to fight most of the time.
I agree.
You know.
But I think that's also like a thing, um, that some people can learn from as far
Yeah.
as like maybe trying to end a fight with like a joke, you know,
Hmm.
before it even gets like started. You end it with a
Yeah.
joke before you actually throw a punch. You do that, you invite somebody that might be having a bad day to come eat with you, versus like not doing anything of the sort, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
And
get you.
and I feel like these are things that we learned from Akira Toriyama through like Goku and Gohan and all that other stuff, and also just to like live life and have adventures.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, I think that's really taught me a lot from reading Akira Toriyama and Juji Ito and all these other people is that while you do have a life and they have life, that it's the adventure that you're taking through all that.
Yeah. No, most definitely.
And while some of us aren't able to really do that or use the ability to draw, or maybe some of us are bad story writers, use your gifts as best you can to actually, accomplish something with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I agree with that. And like I look in like like have a Toriyama inspire you to for you yourself to go and create works of greatness
right,
as well. Like don't like I would say like a lot of people I feel like rely on him and like make like fan art and stuff and do like beautiful awesome pictures. But like imagine if like you made it and went and created like the next Dragon Ball,
right,
you know.
right.
You
Well,
know,
and I mean, not only that, I mean, imagine if that was somebody on your like list that you
yeah.
wanted to meet, you wanted to be able to talk to or whatever, and now that he's gone, it's kind of like, well, you're not able to do that. And I feel like maybe a bunch of people will be like, well, now I can't do that, so like that wish that I could have is unfulfilled. But the
Hmm.
thing is, you got to think about who he touched, such as, like we talked about, like Naruto and One Piece and things like that. Like, those are still people that we have.
Yeah.
So maybe you should try and like reach out and see if you can talk to those people or somebody that they've helped or whatever.
So
And, just kind of like pay that kindness forward in what and everything else.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I have to say, but yeah, it's sad to hear about because it was very unexpected.
Yeah.
He was fairly young. He was like 64, 65, maybe. I think he was.
Uh,
I can't remember exactly how
I
old
think
he
I think he
was.
was older than that.
I know he was in his 60s.
Hold on, give me a second. Keep talking, keep talking.
I was trying to look for his age. He was born in 1955. He was 68.
There you go. So he's
Yeah.
almost 50 or almost 70.
Yeah, he was almost 70, but still like he touched so many people, and the world is definitely a little less brighter, I guess, without him in it. But I feel like people can pick up the pieces and make the world just as great as he made the world,
I agree.
and
Just like
in
when all the people, I think they went to Moscow. I don't know if you saw it or not, but where all the people went and they all gathered in one town. I think it was in Moscow. I'm not
was
sure.
was it for like the giant mural that was painted?
No, they all went to all of them at the same time. They tried to perform a spirit bomb.
Oh, I saw that. That was in Dragon
Something
Ball
with an
Z-
M.
that was in Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
No, this happened in real life.
Oh, real life.
Yeah. I can't remember what town it was in,
Uh
but
huh.
all these people went to the town and they all did that together for him.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah, it definitely has people coming together. I
it
feel like.
does. I feel like that's true too,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that people need to look they need to look forward to the future of that and look past other selfish endeavors. I feel like that they could get out of that.
Yeah, is definitely like a celebration of his life.
Right.
Like, yes, there is mourning, but it is definitely a celebration of his life and the person that he was.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Uh,
And I mean, I also think that there's also so much mourning that we can do, and I don't really feel like Akira Toriyama was somebody that had a lot of mourning in his life.
he was very much. I want to say he was like very much a private person too.
Yeah, that's true.
You
I
know.
felt like just from like what we've gotten, especially since a lot of his stuff was jokey or whatever, I feel like he did have like an adventurous life. Like he was also like jokey, obviously,
Yeah.
and you know, so with his passing and everything, we probably should remember him in those fond ways versus, oh my God, he's gone. Nobody were like take a positive spin to it.
Yeah, I would say like his every time he had like put like in like a one shot I read or something like his like comedy was on point.
Right,
Like he could always make me laugh. Like
right,
I preferred his comedy over like his big fight scenes. That's why I
yeah.
loved the first half of Dragon Ball is
Well, and I mean,
because it was
I
just comedy driven most of the time.
I also feel like we're reading Doctor Stone and some of our other stuff from manga theater that
I
we've
mean,
read.
Dr. Slump.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Dr. Slump, yeah.
Um, and some of his stuff from manga theater. I also feel like that he was somebody that laughed at his own jokes on a regular
Most
basis.
definitely.
Because there were some of them that I know on some things you and I have read, and I'm like, this is all like fucking poop jokes and stuff, and I'm tired of it, And I mean, I could sit there and read it and be like, I bet he was sitting there cracking up while he was doing the art
Probably,
for
yeah.
this, like, oh, everybody will laugh at this, poop joke, some kind of shit like
Yeah.
that. But
And just like the world building he would do. Like I've talked about this before, but
yeah,
like his mechanical work was like on point. The
yeah,
way he would just draw different vehicles and stuff and have all his own spin on the vehicles, whatever. Like he was on point with like some of the greats, I feel like.
yeah.
And like mechanical mecha work. Even though he
Yeah.
hated drawing that stupid tank for Sandland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he gave it a character to everything that he did.
Yeah. You know, he definitely
So,
did. He definitely did. And he's definitely going to be missed, I have to say. And that's where I feel like we should end the episode is like, you know, we're going to miss him, regardless if we didn't know him or not, It's
right,
sad, but we're always going to have his work, his works that he worked on, his art, his stuff like that. He's still going to be influential even though he's not around anymore,
right.
you know.
I
But yeah.
completely agree with that.
But yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you want to talk with us about this, you can reach us on our Instagram at Otakuology Podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. See you later.
Yep. See you
Peace
next
out.
episode.
Stay safe. Go read some Akira Toriyama manga.